I want to first start by thanking all of our partners for your hard work and appreciate you being here today. It really takes a team of state, local, and federal agencies to fight fire together. And I want to thank you for your commitment to keeping Montana safe this wildfire season. We're here today to pledge our continued commitment to protect Montanans, our communities, and our lands from catastrophic wildfire, and to receive an outlook for the 2025 wildfire season. On behalf of the state of Montana, know that we recognize the importance of proactive preparation, coordination, and teamwork in advance of fire season, because the government's chief responsibility is to keep the people safe. That's why it's so important we gather here today to prepare, to collaborate, and to unify in our commitment to protecting our great state. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to thank our courageous wildland firefighters. These men and women brave long hours, rugged terrain, hot temperatures, and time away from family. Their untold sacrifices cannot be calculated in dollars spent or acres burned. They do all they can to keep us safe. Thanks to our advocacy and work with our partners in Butte, a good neighbor authority there in Butte-Silver Bow County protects the watershed that secures the water supply for the city of Butte. By mitigating wildfire risks, projects like this ensure the health and safety of our communities and prevent disastrous wildfires. Let's keep it up. Leading the charge at the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation is Director Amanda Castor. Under her leadership, Montana has fared well each fire season. Since 2021, and this is really amazing, 95% of fires under DNRC's direct control, under direct protection, were kept to 10 acres or less. That's truly amazing. Thank you, Director Castor and the team at DNRC for your dedication for keeping Montanans safe. I'm eager to hear from Director Castor and our other agency partners on our preparedness for the 2025 fire season. So with that, I'll turn it over to Director Castor.
Thank you, Governor, for hosting the 2025 fire briefing and for your continued leadership and commitment to addressing Montana's forest health and wildfire crisis. I also want to thank the Montana Legislature for answering the call from Montanans to make fire preparedness a priority in the 2025 session. The passage of House Bill 127 secures sustained permanent funding to expand DNRC's fire response and prevention capabilities. Thanks to these investments, DNRC is more prepared than ever, using advanced technology to detect fires earlier, securing additional equipment to fight fires faster, and reducing fuel loads through cross-boundary landscape-scale forest management. These efforts are only made possible through coordination and cooperation with our local, state, and federal partners. Today's briefing is about showcasing that partnership and shared commitment. We will hear from agency leaders on their readiness for the upcoming fire season and how working together to protect Montanans, our communities, and natural resources from catastrophic wildfire is necessary. Following these updates, meteorologist Dan Borsum will share the latest seasonal fire outlook to help us better understand the conditions we may face in the months ahead. The state of Montana and DNRC is prepared for the 2025 fire season, not only through our fire protection program, but through the work we do to reduce wildfire risk across Montana's landscapes. We will now hear from our state, federal, and local fire partners. I'd like to start off by introducing Wyatt Frampton, the Deputy State Forester for the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation. Wyatt?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Governor, for allowing us to be here today to talk about fire season and raise awareness to the coming season, and for our partners for being here today. Firefighting requires close coordination, and excited that we get to kick the season off together. So the mission of the Montana Department of Natural Resources Fire Protection Program is to protect the lives, property, and natural resources of Montanans. And through our direct protection and in cooperation with counties and local governments, the DNRC is responsible for wildland fire protection on over 60 million acres of state, federal, and private property. The vast majority of these lands protected by the DNRC and our county partners are private, and private lands, and we prioritize safe, aggressive initial attack to reduce risk to wildland firefighters and increase efficiency of suppression to keep our communities and infrastructure safe. As Director Castor stated, thanks to sustained funding secured through the legislature in House Bill 127 this summer, DNRC has strengthened both our own resources and contract support resources that we will have available to us this summer. We are bringing in additional resources such as large air tankers, Type 1 helicopters, additional hand crews, and ground-based firefighting resources to further bolster our capacity for the upcoming season. We're also enhancing our detection and fire suppression and in-house fire suppression resources and have expanded our fire protection program by adding 30 additional wildland firefighter positions to meet the increasing demands of fire season. These improvements allow us to respond faster, keep fires small, and stay ahead of emerging incidents to ultimately keep firefighters and Montanans safe. So again, wildfire response is a team effort built on coordination and cooperation with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners. From the firefighters to the dispatch centers and the planning teams behind the scenes, we work hand in hand to ensure seamless communication, shared resources, and unified response strategies across agencies. Through this joint planning, interagency training, cooperative agreements, and shared mobilization system, we're ready to scale up and bring on additional resources when conditions demand. This collaborative approach to wildfire suppression in Montana is critical to our success, and I again want to thank you, Governor, and thank you, partners, for being here today to discuss the upcoming fire season.
Thank you, Wyatt. Next up is Delilah Bruno she's the Division Administrator for the Montana Disaster and Emergency Services.
Well, good afternoon. As stated, I am Delilah Bruno, the Division Administrator for Disaster and Emergency Services. We're part of the Montana National Guard, Department of Military Affairs. We're not under the Guard, we're part of the department. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Our organization stands ready to support the DNRC and the entire interagency fire community as we enter into the state's most prevalent months for fire activity. We are thankful to have partners as committed to aggressive fire suppression with the safety of our communities at the forefront. I am happy to report that our organization is fully staffed and prepared to assist local jurisdictions when they are faced with the consequences of wildfires. Wildfires are an ever-present challenge in our state, but through planning, collaboration, dedication of our responder community, Montana is prepared. The State Emergency Coordination Center is operational and ready to support with unique resource requests, mutual aid, and requests for technical assistance. We encourage all citizens to take measures now to be prepared in the event they are asked to evacuate. Have a plan, know where to go, what to bring, and where to get trusted information. Prepared citizens play a vital role in wildfire mitigation, and we ask for the public's vigilance as we move into the months ahead. Montana's strength lies in its communities, its leaders, and its commitment to resilience. Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to recognize Major General Pete Ronick with the Montana National Guard.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here as the Director of the Department of Military Affairs and the Commander of the Montana National Guard. Governor, thank you for allowing me to give a quick update on your National Guard and disaster emergency services. Bottom line is your National Guard emergency services are ready and prepared for this 2025 fire season. Bottom line, we have over 2,200 National Guardsmen that are available for tasking. We can be tasked either for immediate response, or if the governor declares an emergency declaration, we can be called to duty with those there. We have 250 that will be growing to about 500 soldiers and airmen that are red card trained, and if called to respond, what being red card trained gives them just quicker access to get out onto the fires, whereas for on the fire lines or at providing security reasons there. Also, we have a multitude of assets ready if needed. As we coordinate with the DES, will be tasking us, but either through DNRC or the Northern Rockies Coordination Center, then they'll work either a declaration or immediate response for us. And we have a multitude of vehicles, whether transport, fuelers, water tenders, and then of course you're most familiar with we can support also in aviation with our Chinooks and Blackhawks with bucket training. But again, overall, we're prepared and ready for this fire season and respond at the governor's request. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to recognize Director Sonia Nowakowski with the Montana Department of Environmental Quality.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor, for having us here today. Thank you for being here. Sonia Nowakowski, Director, Department of Environmental Quality. As we know, the largest impacts to air quality across our state are from wildfire smoke. DEQ's role during fire season is what I like to say focused on the 3 C's. We collect air quality data, we communicate that data out to our stakeholders and the public, and we collaborate with our state and federal partners, the folks in the room today. Over the last 4 years, DEQ has successfully expanded our air quality monitoring network in response to increased impacts from wildfire smoke. DEQ now operates 26 permanent air monitoring sites across the state. We also have 5 temporary monitors for emergency deployment upon request, and we've deployed over 100 non-regulatory sensors at schools across the state through our Purple Airs in Schools program. And thank you for your generous coverage of that program. We are really proud of its success. Air quality data is made publicly available through the Today's Air website. Please bookmark http, and it's todaysair.mddeq.us. Here you can find hourly air quality conditions, smoke forecasts, as well as links to all the other wildfire resources. We're very proud of that website. Additionally, we are proud to work with our partners in this room to support successful forest management through open burning to help us keep our forests healthy and resilient to wildfire. We look forward to sharing data throughout wildfire season, and I am joined by Bo Wilkins, our Air Quality Bureau Chief, and we're available to answer questions later. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize Robert Jones, the Regional Field Specialist for the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Thank you, sir. So, work out of the Rocky Mountain region out of Billings. We have 7 tribes that we serve. One of them is actually in the state of Wyoming. We have dwindled in our resources. However, we have made some adaptations to actually overcome some of that. A lot of that has to do with working with our partners. So we do that as much as we can. We have 1 fire management officer at Northern Cheyenne Agency. That kind of tells you the story for the BIA. We still have 2 helicopters, so we can still manage interagency fires, coordination with the state here of Montana, and of course the tribes that we serve. We do have a Type 2 IA crew. They are out of Browning, Montana. That's the Blackfeet IA. They are not a shot crew this year, but they still maintain the Type 2 IA status. We have funding agreements, obviously, with several dispatch centers, so we're working with our dispatch centers as well, try to keep them staffed. If we can't staff them with people, we staff them with funding, and hopefully we can get people in there to support them. There's been some changes there that you guys already know. Helena, obviously, now is the main dispatch center for BIA as far as Blackfeet goes. And then now we have Lewistown, and we're coordinating with them, with Fort Belknap and the Fort Peck tribe as well. Total acres burned last year, we had about 8,500, which is actually pretty down for us. 66% of that was human. Natural causes was 8.3%, and then the rest is not provided at about 10%. There was others at 6%, which was basically debris burning. We still maintain 3 active field programs that actually got some work done last year to support fill reduction across the agencies and the tribes. That's Crow, Northern Cheyenne, and also Blackfeet. We have several changes. We're going to have to adapt to those changes as well. We have a new acting regional director. His name is Keen Benz. We actually signed a new org chart just a few days ago. Signing that new org chart breaks us up into 2 zones, And hopefully with that org chart, we can manage better as we do get smaller in our resources. So we'll be not spread as thin. We'll be moving regional FMOs and actually having another FMO out at the new zones. So those zones are actually called, we have the Northern Montana zone. That includes Blackfeet, Rocky Boy, Fort Belknap, and Fort Peck. The other one is the Eastern zone, and that is Northern Cheyenne, Crow Agency, and Wind River Agency, all the way to the south in Wyoming. For our fire positions, we got about 90 positions that we have staffed. If we were fully staffed, we'd be at 180 positions, so we're down quite a bit. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Santovy, the Refuge Manager for the Charles M. Russell National Wildlife Complex.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Governor, for the opportunity to come and give a quick brief on what's going on with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And thank you to interagency partners and firefighters in the room for being here. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is one of the smaller firefighting agencies in the room here today, but we do play an outside role, especially in eastern Montana. Last year, we had 20 wildfires on U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service lands for a total of just over a little over 1,700 acres. I think that's a testament to our rapid response and seriousness about initial attacks and trying to put fires out quickly to keep fires small. We also played a part in supporting 63 wildfire support actions that were led by our interagency partners, again, mostly in eastern Montana. As far as our staffing goes, for 2025, we're in a strong position with our leadership and middle manager firefighter ranks. We continue to have challenges in filling seasonal entry-level firefighter positions. I think a lot of the federal firefighting force is continuing to have those challenges year after year, but we're ready to play our part for 2025. We do have resources strategically located and positioned around the Charles M. Russell National Wildlife Refuge, so we're in a good position to be able to react quickly to new fire starts on the refuge and on partner lands and private lands around the refuge. So I do want to just take a quick moment to highlight a really important part of our program, and that is fuels and habitat management. For the size of our organization, we have a very large fuels and fuels management program. Last year, we burned nearly 11,000 acres prescribed fire in order to reduce hazardous fuels loading and improve habitat conditions for wildlife. And in 2025, we've burned about 5,000 acres this year. Mechanical treatments this year, we've either already completed and are on track to complete over 300 acres of mechanical treatments, again, to reduce hazardous fuel loading. And this year, we started doing chemical treatments of invasive annual grasses. So those would be primarily cheatgrass and Japanese brome, which provide a lot of hazardous fuel loadings on the landscape, especially in grasslands and shrublands. And we've already sprayed over 12,000 acres with plans to spray another 4,000 acres this fall. So we're really proud of that. And like I said, we're here and we're ready to do our part as part of the interagency community. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd now like to recognize Sonia Gurman, the Montana Dakota State Director for the Bureau of Land Management.
Thank you, Governor, and all of our agency partners, and just really appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Montana Dakota's Bureau of Land Management. And as always, we are proud to stand as a fully engaged member of the Northern Rockies Coordinating Group. And I just want to express my appreciation to all of our partners for all of their commitment, excellent communication, and dedicated resources to helping us all address wildfire for this upcoming season. Governor, I wanted to explicitly share with you that I shared my leader's intent with Montana Dakota's fire staff last week, and one of those priorities was to lead with aggressive, risk-informed initial attack. So that is a commitment that we're making to the communities and to the resources and with our interagency partners. So thank you for your leadership with that, and that is a commitment that we absolutely will be following through. Of course, firefighter safety, public safety continues to be one of our main priorities as well. And Governor, I want to also commit to you, because I know that you, DNRC is very proud of the statistics that you have with initial attack being 95% or greater. We also are committed to that, to keep all of our fires in initial attack, 95% or higher percentage of those. And Governor, I want to thank you also for your committed resources and the state of Montana committed resources. I know that you've been bolstering those over time, and those things have made a tremendous difference in our ability to achieve aggressive initial attacks. So we very much appreciate all of the additional resources that you've been dedicating to the interagency fire community. Governor, one of the major numbers that we're really proud of at the Montana Dakota's Bureau of Land Management is out of 670 people who work for Montana Dakota's BLM, 448 of those employees are red carded. So they're either doing direct fire response or they're serving on interagency fire teams. So we're incredibly proud of that, and we encourage everybody to be engaging in the fire community to help with our interagency capacity. Governor, you also talked about active forest management, and we at the BLM, we are proud active prescribed fire specialists. We are also active at forest management. We accomplished approximately 38,000 acres of fuels reduction last year, and we're planning to accomplish 40,000 in 2025. To date, our prescribed fire totals are at about 12,000 acres, and so we're hoping to do more prescribed fire in the coming months into the fall as well. We have a number of resources that are available and ready for the upcoming fire seasons. Across Montana Dakotas, we have 16 engines, one Type 3 helicopter, a Type 2 initial attack veteran hand crew that we're very proud of, a newly certified wildland fire module, and a 10-person suppression module. We have 4 national single-engine air tankers, 1 large air tanker base, and 2 seat bases out of Miles City and Lewistown. And we manage 3 interagency dispatch centers across Montana and work very closely with our interagency partners on managing those as well. Through our Rural Fire Readiness Program, BLM will donate 3 fire engines to local departments this year. We're also delivering 20-plus wildland fire training courses, reaching over 1,000 local firefighters. And we do that in partnership with the state of Montana as well. And Governor, I just want to say that we stand as fully committed members to our interagency fire response, and we're committed to excellent communication and protection of our communities and delivery to the citizens of the state of Montana. So thank you very much for having us here, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Benny South, Deputy Regional Forester for U.S. Forest Service Region 1.
Thanks for doing this.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben South. I am the Deputy Regional Forester in the northern region of the U.S. Forest Service in Missoula, Montana. And Governor Gianforte and assembled partners, it is truly an honor to be here. And on behalf of the Acting Regional Forester, Kristen Bale, I want to say how much I appreciate being invited here today. And as part of that, Governor, I have to tell you, my wife made some buffalo cookies, and there's some history there. Those cookies, as well as some other goodies that my wife baked, became staples of my meetings with Governor Burgum, now Secretary Burgum. And when I told my wife that I would be meeting here today, she said, "Oh, Governor Gianforte, he deserves at least a box of buffalo cookies." So please enjoy. Everyone, please enjoy that. The Forest Service Northern Region is proud to play a key role in responding to wildfire emergencies in Montana to safeguard lives, property, and natural resources. Our dedication to service, along with our connection to the land and local communities, is what makes us strong together. In 2025, we will continue safe, effective, and initial attack to protect communities, critical infrastructure, and natural resources, ensuring a risk-informed response and anchoring strategy consistently through the Incident Strategic Alignment Process, or ISAP. We have the same complement of hand crews and personnel, including approximately 1,500 professional wildland firefighters, fire equipment and aviation contracts, and continued staffing of interagency dispatch centers to support wildfire suppression as in previous years. We're all in this together, with resources and personnel from the partners gathered around today constituting a critical part of our response strategy, along with nationally allocated assets. Line officers work in close collaboration to intentionally include partners such as local governments, states, tribes, landowners, industry, and conservation partners to develop strategies incorporating open dialogue on short, mid, and long-range expectations from stakeholders, continually aligning with strategy. Additional collaboration includes mechanisms like the National Alliance of Forest Owners Fuel Break Memorandum of Understanding and continuing science-based strategies such as potential operational delineations. We will utilize the full range of active forest management options and expedited authorities available to us, including, but not limited to, the President's executive order, as well as Secretary Rollins' corresponding memorandum to expand American timber production, under which we will support rural economies and reduce the risk of wildfire by creating and sustaining healthy and resilient forests and watersheds. The USDA Forest Service considers the state of Montana a national leader in terms of aligning federal-state partnerships in support of active forest management. Montana's Good Neighbor Authority, their program, has sold approximately 165 million board feet of timber from more than 20,000 acres of National Forest System lands in Montana since the program's inception. In 2024, significant progress occurred with region-wide hazardous fuels reduction work doubling to 200,000 acres, including safely and effectively conducting prescribed fire, mechanical, and other treatments across Region 1's 10 forests and grasslands. Year-round treatments that align and complement efforts with neighboring agencies and organizations are vital to reduce risk of wildfire and restore forest health. Partnering with communities is key to successfully preparing for wildland fires, implementing fire prevention strategies, and responding effectively to wildfires. Once again, Governor, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize Rich Cowger, President of the Montana State Fire Chiefs.
Thank you, Governor. I have to acknowledge, though, I was former president. That has now transitioned to Chief Jeremy Jones from Great Falls, but I still represent the Wildland Arena. On behalf of the over 300 fire departments spread across the state of Montana and the roughly 6,500 firefighters, we're proud to be part of this first line of defense for wildfire across the state of Montana. You heard it multiple times today about the interagency cooperation. And that's one thing Montana's got to be proud of, is within that Northern Rockies Coordinating Group, we're one of the few organizations across the United States that has local government and state government and our federal partners all sitting at the table at the same time talking about impacts on wildfire policy decisions and how that how that affects everybody across the board. And so the Northern Rockies, we're proud to be part of that. Proud to represent right alongside our federal and state partners. And we have to give a shout out to DNRC to be that buffer is probably not the right word, but that agency that coordinates excuse me, the local, helps the locals to be a good partner in that process. And so having that ability to utilize DNRC assets along with their training really puts local government in a position to be in a good spot when the initial attack needs to happen, as we're there often, most often first place on a lot of the incidents. So with that, we just want you to know that we're as prepared with local government as we possibly can be. Of course, some of our volunteer systems across the state do suffer a little bit from what volunteerism looks like today, but regardless of that, what you can't beat is the heart and soul of a volunteer and what they're willing to put into protecting their community. And we see that across the state as a whole. So again, on behalf of those over 300 departments and 6,500 firefighters across the state, thank you, and we're here to serve and be part of this. Thanks, Governor.
And last but certainly not least, I'd like to recognize Patrick Lonergan, President of the Montana County Fire Wardens Association.
Good afternoon. Nothing like being last. I want to hit on, well, I guess first off I'll say, on behalf of the 56 county fire wardens in Montana, we're ready to respond this summer, just like they are every day of the year. I want to hit on one key program here in Montana that's very important to the state and local government's success in responding to wildfires, and that's the county co-op program that currently has agreements between all 56 counties in the state of Montana. And that program has proven time and time again to be effective and efficient in ensuring that state and local government can rapidly respond to wildfires. In fact, we're starting to see many western states replicate some of the features of that program, and I think that's a great attribute to the state of Montana and something to be proud of. We look forward to the future of that program with the passage of House Bill 127 and what the future brings of state and local government fire suppression in Montana and how we can improve and become more efficient and collaborative across all the agencies. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our state, federal, and local government partners for sharing your valuable contributions and insights. Now I'd like to recognize Dan Borsa, meteorologist with the Northern Rockies Coordination Center, to present the latest fire season outlook.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor, for the chance to speak. And to our agencies, I really do look forward to the opportunity to provide you with the fire environment information this summer to help with those difficult decisions which we may face. My role is as predictive services meteorologist for the Northern Rockies to provide the guidance for the strategic decisions that get made. So how the fire environment will be interacting with the landscape and where we should be placing resources and what resources we need. So I try and give as much advance notice on that. And it's a challenging job because the weather across Montana isn't easy, but it's a job I enjoy and I enjoy serving. So without any further delay, I'll talk about what this fire season is going to bring, and it's got some challenges forthcoming. We expect significant wildland fire activity to really start picking up across the western part of Montana in July. We've already seen some fires by Plains, Montana this past weekend. That activity will expand into central and eastern Montana in the month of August and expect it to stay in place through September. There's a number of factors that are driving this. Number one, drought is profound in some parts of the state. The overall forecast, at least from the computer projections, is for a very hot and dry summer. And looking at the oceanic and equatorial temperature patterns around the globe, unfortunately, we see something that matches critical years like 2017 and 2021, which were significant fire seasons in Montana. So what happened last year is a quick overview. Well, we had 352,000 acres that burned in Montana, but 179,000 of that was just from the Remington fire in southeast Montana alone. So it looks like if you go through 22 and 23, that we've been roughly doing 130,000 acres a year with our fire activity. It does look like this summer should be a greater number than those, unfortunately. So be ready for that with this fire season. So looking at the drought map, we see a couple areas of severe drought across Montana. One is over eastern Montana, and the other one is over the western part of the state. And I'm most interested in the activity over western Montana because it's really built out of some multi-year drought activity. We do have some good news. Central Montana has been a little bit wetter, but unfortunately the way that the summer forecast is rolling out, you could see hot and dry weather eradicate some of the moisture benefit. Over the last 30 days, we've been seeing a precipitation pattern which has really been typical of the last few years, where everything wants to get stuck on the Continental Divide and not go as far westward and reach some of those areas in western Montana. The surpluses have been hitting central Montana for a number of years now, and today's weather system is the same. It came through, and it's really emphasizing southwest Montana through the eastern part of the state. So trying to help people understand how the drought might be impacting us, took a look at what the precipitation deficits or surpluses are across the state if you take 3 years cumulative, 36 months. And there's a lot of places over western Montana which are missing 8 to 16 inches of moisture cumulative over 3 years. And that's getting to be quite a lot. I did highlight Powell County, which is the Deer Lodge area. They are now in their top 5% of years which had dry spells like this, at least through a 36-month period. What does this mean, though? What this means is when you look at that cumulative deficit, all of a sudden we are now at the dryness levels on the landscape like we were in the early 2000s. 2000, 2001, 2003, 2007, we started seeing lots of back-to-back fire seasons. And unfortunately, we have now seen the deficits in those places fall to that point. So we're kind of set for the stage of seeing the landscape support fire. The snowpack story was a little bit better than last year. Last year was an El Nino winter, very dry winter. This year, we did have an okay winter, but we only got to about 80 to 90% of the snowpack you would expect to see on April 30th. What does that mean? Well, it means we should have been sitting a little bit better. But our recent hot weather has been doing a number on the snowpack, unfortunately. And even though we had more snow than we did in 2024, we've already gotten rid of it as quickly for a number of basins out there. That is a significant concern because high elevation fires are more challenging. They're longer living on the landscape, and unfortunately the news is that we are probably going to see that area available for fire activity. The thing that summarizes all of this moisture and snowpack information is our soil moisture values. And looking at the deep soil moisture, not necessarily the surface, the recent rainfall, the green grasses, they're okay right now. But what's going on with the stream flow, and when those larger trees begin to encounter 95 to 100 degree heat, what's going to happen? Well, we are at a picture across most of the state, and especially the western end of Montana, which is much drier than we were last year. We did support fires and some challenging fires last year. The stage looks to be set for it to be more challenging this year. So when I look at the water year precipitation, which goes back to October 2024 to now, we see that there's areas of Montana that are below normal, a few areas that are near normal or above normal, but there's one area in the country that really caught my attention. It's the southwest United States. They missed all their winter precipitation. They've missed most of their spring precipitation. So when we start getting these heat domes over the summer, that's our source region of really dry soils to make our temperatures even hotter than what we normally would expect. So now that we've talked about how the landscape is set up to maybe support that heat, what does the global weather patterns show us? Well, we had a weak La Nina this winter. We went to a neutral signal, and now we're going to another La Nina signature for this coming fall. That has been associated historically with some critical years, like 2006, like 2017. 2017 was a year where we thought we were good coming through spring, and all of a sudden we had the flash drought. Another thing that can be utilized is when people look at the global temperatures at the sea surface and on the equatorial heat, they come up with a number of years that are the closest match. Unfortunately, a lot of those years are some of our all-star years of fire activity. 2000, 2002 show up, 2006. But if you take those years, put them into a reanalysis, trying to apply some science, you end up with these signatures that show that there's a profound amount of dryness or heat coming up from the Great Basin, extending into western Montana, and in particular, the dryness signature is exceptional over the northwest part of the state. So this is just saying that the pattern matching with the current situation drives a hot and dry summer forecast. So the official outlooks, and some of this is driven by the computer models for June, are for below normal moisture and above normal temperatures. And June is a wet month. It's part of our wet season. If we miss June moisture in this state, we end up being in trouble in fire season. Looking further ahead through June through September, we end up having a broader signature of below normal precipitation across the region and above normal temperatures. And that's that heat over the Great Basin driving northward through the summer. One area to point out is that Arizona-New Mexico signature of above normal moisture. That's the monsoon. The last 3 years, we've been kind of fortunate that the monsoon is timed in August or late July with an infusion, not of just the precipitation, but also the higher humidity. It's allowed the green fuels out there, the grasses, to recharge. I don't know if that's going to happen. That signature, its orientation this year, wants to favor Colorado as opposed to coming around the western Great Basin, and that's problematic. We may not get the tapping of the brakes that we've seen the last few years. So breaking this down by individual months, July looks exceptionally hot and dry across the western part of the region. The signatures are still there in August, and they're actually shifting eastward in the summer. And that's the other concern that I have, is the greenness that we've established in central Montana gets eradicated by this heat and dryness, and then all of a sudden we have multiple portions of the state that are now involved with fire season, which stretches resources. And then September, it's not as dry, but it's not got a moisture signature, and then all of a sudden September is the wind season. So there's a lot of things that I'm worried about as we head forward. The last thing that I'll share in terms of intel is, at some point during the spring, I pulled up the map from May of 2021, or the forecast in May for the summer of 2021, and I compared it to this summer's forecast, and they're almost identical. And 2021 was a big fire year. So all of the things kind of line up that I don't have much else to really predict, except to say that significant fire season is going to develop over the western end of Montana in July, spread eastward in August, and be established in September. So unfortunately, that's not great news, but that's what's out there. So again, the multi-year deficits of moisture are starting to hurt us. The overall warm and dry summer forecast, and the fact that we may have fire on the landscape when the wind season approaches in September because we didn't get that monsoon infusion, that has me very concerned that this fire season could be significant. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and to my agency partners, look forward to working with you and getting through this season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, for presenting the fire outlook for the season, and thank you, Governor, for bringing us together today to reaffirm the importance of partnership, cooperation, and communication when combating wildfires and the forest health crisis in Montana. We truly are working in the best interests of Montana to protect lives, property, and natural resources. With that, Governor Gianforte, I'll pass it back to you for closing remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Director Castor. As you've seen and heard today, addressing Montana's forest health and wildfire crisis requires active collaboration across all agencies at all levels. Together, we can build a healthier, more resilient forests and communities, but it will take all of us, and I just appreciate all our partners for being here today as we continue to coordinate. Montanans also play a critical role in wildfire prevention and preparedness. I note that each year, nearly 75% of wildfires that we see in Montana are human-caused. Each one of you can help prevent avoidable fires by recreating responsibly and following fire restrictions, and by preparing your homes and properties by removing fuels within 200 feet of your home to reduce wildfire risk. I encourage Montanans to visit mtfireinfo.org for some practical steps on how to do that, to prepare your homes and families for wildfire. Because the better we prepare, the safer and more effective our firefighters can be. I want to thank everybody for being here. We have time for a few questions. If we do have a couple, I would just ask that you identify your group, and here are the experts, so I'll let them answer them. Do we have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, Zeke Lloyd, Montana Free Press. I'm curious with some of the federal funding cuts, if there's going to be an impact on the Good Neighbor Authority. Is it likely that fewer acres will be able to be treated because of that?
I would say we've been in discussions with the new chief of the Forest Service, and honestly, I think there's an increased commitment to using the Good Neighbor Authority to expand forest management, and the state's making plans to do just that. Yes?
In a similar vein, I'm curious about federal workforce and federal firefighters. And maybe this is a question also for Forester South, but how are we looking just numbers-wise compared to the past years for numbers of crews?
Okay, so the question is about federal firefighting resources. We have a number of our partners here. I don't know if any of you want to comment on that. Sonia?
Yeah, happy to do that. At the Bureau of Land Management, we're actually staying strong with the previous years, so we're not seeing a decrease, but I think back to what Paul had said, we continue year after year to see some of the struggles in just hiring seasonals, but our numbers are as strong as they were last year.
Good.
Yes, I mentioned in my presentation that we have the same number of crews that we had previously, the same number of resources that we've had previously. We've seen very little impact from recent folks leaving the agency to our fire program.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, in terms of sort of meteorologists and NOAA and stuff, is there going to be any impacts to the forecasting on fires and also just to NOAA and the NWS solutions in general?
And I would have you just step up because we're live casting this. So the question is about resources at NOAA for forecasting.
I've spoken with the National Weather Service resources, and they're committed to making sure they do everything to get people out the door. So we get the on-site fire support this summer, this coming season. So I would expect that the meteorologists will be in the field providing the support to the IMTs like we've seen in previous years.
Okay, great. In conclusion, I just want to say thank you again to our partners. Thanks for your great work, and we'll stay in touch.